Hey guys, Sean here and welcome to the F1 Word. Now earlier this morning McLaren became the latest team to reveal their 2018 Challenger as they pulled the covers off the MCL 33. There has been quite a lot of hype around McLaren over the winter, particularly because of their new Renault partnership and also because of the teaser trailers they've been releasing for the new livery. In this video, as has been the case with most of the launches so far, I'm going to give my initial impressions and opinions of the new McLaren. Let's get started with the obvious then, and that striking new livery. It is a return to more traditional colours for McLaren, the papaya orange and the blue, which so far has divided opinion, but I'm going to be completely honest, I actually really do quite like it. It's a real throwback to their original colours and very, very similar to those run in Indy last year. There is a lot of blank space on this car, but that is just going to get sold off to sponsors because McLaren this year should be a more attractive prospect as they make their way towards the front of the grid. So I expect we will see some new sponsors on that car sooner rather than later. Taking a first look at the car then, it does appear very basic in terms of aero, although the team have said that they are looking to develop and enhance the car in the coming weeks. And in fact had already stated pre-launch that they were looking at a new aero package by the time they get to Australia. So they are definitely going to be developing this car through the course of the year. And I think we can all expect that a very different car will arrive in Australia. We'll start off with the top-down view then, and as you can see there, not as tightly packaged as other Renault-powered cars, that's for sure. The team have insisted that the late decision to switch to Renault engines hasn't impacted that at all, but it just doesn't look as sleek. But at the same time, McLaren have always really gone in a different direction when it comes to side pod size and shape and the flow to the back of their car. One of the areas I have highlighted there are the slots on the floor. That's a really nice little innovation from McLaren, and we've not really seen that on any other cars so far, and that is really going to help to suck the car down onto the track. That is definitely one area the aero department have been working quite hard on. And I've also highlighted some of the details there in and around the barge boards. The reason I've done that is because the detail appears to be behind them, because if we move to the side view, you can see there the barge boards have not changed much at all from the ones that the team were running in Abu Dhabi testing and towards the back end of 2017, of course. I mean, there does appear to be a little bit of development and a few changes to the base of the barge boards, if you like, but this is definitely an area we're going to see a lot of improvement from McLaren in over the coming weeks. On the front of the car, there are some subtle changes to the front wing, just really in the sculpting around some of those elements, nothing major. But if we look up to the side pods, those air intakes are a hell of a lot smaller than they were on last year's McLaren. And there is something just sat inside. I've highlighted it there. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I am assuming it is just like a second air intake inside the airbox itself. It's cut into four there as well. And again, that's something we haven't really seen. But because the barge boards are so simple, and when you compare that to some of the cars we've already seen launch with all their aero in and around those side pods, there is a possibility that is just a mounting. But I'm going to call it a second air intake for now. I've also highlighted the difference in size of the winglet on top of that side pod compared to last year's car. And they've added a second row of those vortex generators on top of those side pods as well. Finally then, looking to the back of the car, and there's some very nice detailing to the side of the rear wing. But I was surprised not to see a T-wing on the new McLaren. However, as you can see on the zoomed in shot, there is definitely a mounting there. Now, whether that is for a T-wing, I don't know, but there is definitely going to be something put on there. We'll probably see it in testing, but certainly by the time we get to Australia, we'll know what that is. And that just completely confirms that this is not the finished article by a long way. Definitely a show car, as they pretty much all have been up until this point. As I've said in previous videos, teams don't want to give away too much information to their rivals at this stage of the season. To be honest, livery aside, I'm a little bit underwhelmed by the MCL 33. I mean, it is really hard to judge a car that is effectively just a show car. But with all the hype around it, I just expected a little bit more, if I'm being honest. However, I guess when you look back over all that hype, it was pretty much built around the livery change. So we've definitely got that. And like I said at the start, I do actually quite like the livery. And let's just hope they can fill some of that blank space with sponsors sooner rather than later. That is it from me then, and my first impressions of the McLaren MCL 33, but I will be back on Sunday with Jonty at 6 PM UK time, where we will be taking a much closer look at the McLaren, the Mercedes and the Ferrari, as well as opening up to your questions as ever. In the meantime, though, you can follow me on social media. Links to Twitter, Facebook and Discord are all in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean. This has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.